So as if trust is so critical, like why do so many AI initiatives still fail to scale successfully? For example, like Salesforce, they laid off so many people, as well as Amazon. So what's actually now why it's happening?
Yeah, you're right. So we've seen many of these news where these large companies have laid off so many people. Only a couple of months later, having to rehire many of these people as well. And what I would argue is, did this fail because of the technical reason? Didn't they implement the systems well enough, or did that fail for other reasons as well? And my point would be that it did fail because they didn't build trust with their employees who remain in the organization to really improve the customer experience, and they didn't build trust with their customers actually using these systems as well. And often it is because people are not accepting these AI solutions because this negotiation failed that we were talking about at the end of the day. It could be because it is perceived as a limitation, they get a negative reputation, it's not as efficient, so the benefit is not there. So there are a lot of examples where these systems failed because the negotiation that we are talking about failed to create this trust as well. And it's backed by a study from MIT, which went round a lot, I think, end of last year, saying that 95% of these pilots failed. And the main reason is not because of technical issues with the systems, but because these negotiations failed, that they failed to create the trust in the systems.
So, what distinguishes companies that successfully build trust from those that struggle, from that struggle?
Yeah, so I think you could look at any of these elements that we were talking about, right? So I think companies that struggle are considering trust after the implementation, after deployment. So first build the system, then take care of communications, build FAQ pages, disclaimers, legal language, etc. We can see this a lot, right? So if you would count the times that you would have to accept some, we're using an AI system disclaimer, or this is an AI generated output. So this often is after the fact. So you build the system, then you have to do something else to be compliant, for instance. So, but if you start in the beginning, if you really engage with your users, really build this trust, build explainability, build a stakeholder communication, building governance. So thinking about this first and then use this in order to build the system, I think this is really important. And the impact is really measurable. So you get much faster adoption, you get much stronger internal alignment, and a much higher customer acceptance and customer experience as well. So, and that really is where also we focus on, right? So yes, technology is important, but you need to combine it with these elements and really start in the beginning and really doing these things.
Like what does leadership need to do differently to make AI truly work in practice?
Right. So in my view, I think there are mainly three things that are really important. So first is explainability. So, and we already talked about these very important decisions in some cases, like insurance, for instance. Right? And explainability means not only that you have a model where you can explain what led to a certain decision from an AI system, say, what is my premium? Do I get a coverage of a certain claim, for instance, but also what would need to change in my input in order to generate a different output, right? So, and we have many examples of systems where AI is really a black box. Nobody can explain why it decided in this case differently from another case, which may seem very similar as well. Really having this explainability as part of the concept is really important. So a second element is fairness, and this really goes to the core of what we people do every day with each other. So we have a conversation, and maybe we discuss about a certain use case, or we discuss about a certain business transaction, and only if we both think it's fair, both of us will walk away with, okay, we received the benefit out of that. So, and fairness really is important to be defined and to be measured and to be monitored along your entire process, and it doesn't happen automatically. And the last thing I would say really is ownership. So I think specifically with AI, it's easy to say, yeah, it was an AI system that has decided that, and I wasn't involved, and it was also automatic. And the larger organizations get, the easier this is as well, right? So, and within your governance structure and your operational structure in your company, you really need to define ownership and accountability. Even if I'm building an AI system and it's an AI system that is taking certain decisions, I, as a human, I am responsible for the outcome of these systems. And all of these things I would ask you to notice are not technical design questions, are really organizational decisions that you can take anytime.
Okay. So how do these decision impact both employees and like customers?
Yeah, I mean, for employees, I think it's easy for employees to feel overwhelmed and powerless, right? And specifically, if you get the news, this company is laying off people with AI. I think if you would count the amount of headlines, will I lose my job to AI? Which jobs are safe,
Yeah.
etc. So you can
Yes.
read this all the time, right? So, and I think considering this and making it understandable and explainable what you're doing with a certain system. So I have a client, and they started in the very beginning to bring on board all the internal stakeholders, communicate very clearly and openly to the employees. What is the objective of this AI initiatives? What are we trying to do here? How will it impact your day-to-day work? So really being upfront on this. And in this case, also, it was a clear objective to reduce workload from human people. And reduce workload has some implications often. So it's not about only giving good news, but be clear, transparent, and open about what you're trying to achieve and how you're going to achieve it and how you bring on board these stakeholders.
What about customers?
Yeah, indeed, customers. Yes. So I think the main part is, I would say, so what is the benefit that I'm getting? What is the value add that I'm getting? Do I'm getting a better experience? Or am I just getting more AI slop? Or am I trapped in some AI loophole before I can talk to a person who can actually help me? So, and I think a lot of this situation happens because AI initiatives are driven with an operational objective. Like I want to reduce cost, for example. This is very often a main element on how AI initiatives are being managed. So, but they forget, do I at least maintain the same level of value? If I want to reduce my internal cost, do I at least give the same level of value to my customers? Or do I give a better value to my customer as well? So, and how do you communicate this? And we already explained that it's not only about does it technically work better, but also is it perceived better? So how do I present it to my customer is also important. So, and taking into consideration, what will my customer think about this solution? Will they think it will make their life better? Will they think it will give them an extra value? Will they think it will improve their lives, their work? This is really important to consider as well. And maybe a last thing, often it is AI initiatives I can see are biased on one side. They're either framed as a cost-saving exercise, or we're doing this amazing thing for our customers, and and both of that needs to be balanced. So really taking into consideration these two sides of our negotiation is really important, I think.
For leaders who feel overwhelmed, what's one practical step they can take, like starting from tomorrow?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I can certainly relate to being overwhelmed with all of the pressure that is on me, specifically if I'm in leadership positions as well. And I think the core of empathy is put yourself in the shoes of the other person. So you could ask yourself, if I were a customer, would I trust the decisions of the system that I'm building? Would I see a benefit of the system? If I would be my team member, if I would be my employee, would I trust this AI initiative? So really putting yourself in the shoes of the other person, seeing how would I feel? Would I trust it or not? Would I accept it or not? Would I see a benefit or not? So, and acting on it. And I think very often we are sort of boxed in organizational constraints and other pressures from other parties in the system. So I think it's really important. And again, technology is important and it needs to be addressed. But this other element, this element of trust in AI systems, I think is as important as the other one.
Okay, thank you. So for a company that recognize this is a gap, what does Verged, means your company, actually help them to do about it?
So as I've explained, we find it important that in the beginning, you already start to consider how you build trust in the systems as well. And this is a key element why we're helping. So we are working at this intersection between technology and also how complex IT systems are operated and how you design it and build them. So we have 20 plus years of experience in building complex IT systems as well. But specifically with AI, we feel this other element, the element of trust and negotiating your relationship is as important and needs to be brought in the beginning. So we have different consulting formats and templates and processes where we can work with clients to really set up your AI initiative in the beginning and really help them design this system in a way that it can create trust. And it's mainly focused around explainability, fairness, and ownership. The three pillars that we've been talking about earlier as well. And we don't just build it and then hand over like a governance manual and leave. So I think for us, I think it's very important to keep an ongoing element as well. We like to have like a skin in the game, also commercial model as well, where we not only deliver a piece of software or a piece of paper, but really take joint ownership for results as well.
Like what does that look like in practice? Like where do you typically, start?
So in my view, it's important to start at the top, right? So the first thing is really leadership alignment. So because if you don't have alignment within your leadership teams, you don't have alignment on the objectives, you don't have a clear vision of what you want to accomplish, I think is really complicated. So this is really the first part, getting the right people in the room and agree on what trust really means in this particular scenario, what they're trying to accomplish. And then it's, hard work, right? So do a governance framework, piloting real use cases, and then embedding them in the workflows, and then getting day-to-day practice. I think with AI specifically is also a lot more experimentation, trial and error, because not everything can be is deterministic. So some things you have to try out, get feedback, and then incorporate that feedback into your system as well. So I think this is a really important adoption to the way that systems are being built. And this is the way that we implement into system design, into project management, into governance, and the actual run and operation of systems as well.
So like where people gonna find you, like find your company, find you, they can contact you. If you give us the, your contact things so people can communicate with you directly.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I think it has been a really interesting conversation, and I would love to continue this with the audience as well. So obviously you can go to our website, verged.ai, but the easiest way may be just to find me on LinkedIn, Christian Schacht. So, and maybe as a small offer to the audience, so we have put together like a short practical guide. So really summarizing a lot of these steps that we talked about today, and like a practical guide on how to design trust into AI systems. And if you message me on LinkedIn, I will send it to you personally.
Okay. Thank you so much, Christian, for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mamita.